Hey guys, welcome to Never a Dull Moment. I'm Greg, and today I have something that's new for me and hopefully new to you. I'm going to sharpen my first Shirogami. For those of you who don't know, that means white paper number 1. I have never worked with this steel ever. I'm very excited about this. If you have not had a chance, I have an unboxing of this knife. I will put a link up in the corner. To tell you about the knife, this is a Funayuki. It is by a company called Yamashin. It is 135 millimeter. It is designed as a double bevel, 50-50 bevel knife. It is meant to be on boats that you can fillet fish. Its work is kind of like a deba, but you'll notice that the spine is not that thick. It's not meant to be like chopping the heads off of the fish. All of that could possibly dull this knife rapidly going through the bone. But you can work rapidly. This is like an all-purpose knife, like men out on the boat fishing. So today, we're going to sharpen this knife, and I'm excited to do it. In the unboxing, we had a score of around 200. I'm not quite sure if it was over 200 or just under. But we want to make an improvement on that. Not that that's not a great score. It is. Some things that I have done today and what I'm going to be doing. I am using Japanese natural stones. I am not using synthetic today. I have the higher grade stone. I want to use it. I want to give this knife everything that I have. I am not going down to the 1K grit equivalent. I'm starting around 3,000. So the stone I'm using is an Aizu. I will put the name of this to be spelled out in the description. This is a natural stone. It is from a mine that is closed. When they were mining this particular stone in the winter, it would get cold. They'd have to close up the mountain. Unfortunately, it caused people to not survive, either through dust of mining or mostly probably that, but even just getting back out. Unfortunately, in the end, they did have to shut down the mine because it was not feasible to continue doing it. So I happen to have one. It was not an expensive stone, if you can find one. So the process that we're going to be doing today, I have already flattened this stone. And for those of you who don't know anything about Japanese natural stones, all of the stones I want for sharpening, not necessarily polishing, I want them flat. I will go through the process of getting a slurry on the stone. If you're into knife polishing, it's a completely separate thing. These stones are able to get different types of finish. That is a different video altogether. So my goal is, since this, even though it's already sharp, I've never worked with it. I don't know what would happen if I started at the 6,000 and go on up. So some stones we're also going to be working with today is I have a Maruyama. I don't know why I can't talk today. And this is around a 6,000, if you had to guess. We're going to jump up to a Nakayama. This is around 8,000 to 9,000. And then we're going to another Nakayama, and this is 10,000 and up. So one of the things I did earlier was I drew lines on the stone. Then I took a plate. There's two versions. There's a Toma. This is a Naniwa. This is a flattening stone that can be used to create a slurry. In knife sharpening, you want the slurry to be muddy. You actually want it to be kind of thick. So I'm going to kind of get some of this water off. I will not be using the water from inside on the stone because the water inside can have different grit from a previous stone and cause that, I keep using the word grit, but cause the product from the old stone to get on the other. We're not doing a lesson on natural stones, but just understand that instead of grit, natural stones use flakes. It is part of a compression that has happened over a long time. This material, because of the size of the flakes, when it comes off, if it got on another stone, would just create problems for the other stone. So we want to have the mildest amount of water that we need to get a slurry. So we're going to spray fresh water. We're going to see what we can do without trying to use a flattening plate to get much of a slurry. If you are new to sharpening, you would need to know that this knife has a pretty flat profile, but it is rounded. So I want to make sure that I make contact the entire time with the knife. And so I'm going to be doing a technique with my wrist to make sure that I covered the belly of this knife. Also, this is a thin knife. It is meant to be quick with the fillet. I don't mind it, just, keeping the 15 to 10 degree. So if you've seen me sharpen before, then you know what's going on. Is I am moving my fingers down on this knife. I'm putting my fingers on the top. I'm getting the tip into the stone. I'm using the entire surface area of the stone so I don't dish out my stone. I'm doing this shape to keep contact. I will then walk my fingers down the entire time. When I get to the bottom, that is one pass, and I will do it again. My goal is to get what's called a bevel, which means that there will be metal as we're scraping going this direction. The metal will then wrap itself up, okay? And it will create a lip that we can feel with our finger. When we've created a small little lip that's even all the way down, we have done our job. We will flip the knife over and do the same thing on the other side. After that point, we will go to another stone and progressively move up. We will clean the stone when we're done to put it away. We will use fresh water on the new stone. And here we go. The pressure that I'm using with this knife, I have never used this steel before. I do not know how easy it is to sharpen this knife. Okay, so white paper number 1 or Shirogami is considered very hard metal. Now, you might have just saw me, I so had to resist the temptation that we have on synthetic stones. I was ready to add water. I just now have this beautiful slurry. I do not want to make it thinner. Okay? So, I'm already feeling something happening. I would say that right now my pressure, it's definitely under the 5 pounds. It's more than the weight of my hand. I'm pushing that way and riding back. So I'm literally pushing as I go and then just riding. Like if the knife was coming like this and my fingers were sitting on it, then the knife is going away because of these 2 fingers pushing. This hand is not propelling it. So I'm pushing it away, riding back. Pushing it away, riding back. Pushing it away. And it's kind of, you feel like push, pull, push, pull. Okay, so again, the slurry, they call it slurry management. I want the tiniest bit of water here. It just feels like it's getting a little bit dry. I'm super, like I said, new to me. I'm literally doing this right now in front of you. It's kind of exciting. Now, Yamashin is not a blacksmith that we've all heard a lot of. So the heat treatment on this is above 60, probably 61, 62. When I purchased it, it was not available. It was just at 60 plus. It is cladded. It does have a kurouchi finish on the outside, the blacksmith's finish. The outside is cladded with a soft iron. But again, we're sharpening the Shirogami or the white paper that's available just on the edge. So I definitely need some water here to get some of this slurry in there. So you'll almost see me like in a straight back and forth on the back part where the profile is much flatter. Okay, but another thing to think of is if the knife is going forward, has good contact and going forward, the scrapings on the side of the knife are going this way. That's not wrong. But I would really kind of like them more this way, so that way the bevel can be created. I don't want a bevel on the end of my knife. I want a bevel this way. I'm trying, if you can see that the movements are huge, front to back of the entire stone. I think that the hardness of this knife makes it a little bit harder to sharpen. Now, this is being around 3,000. It's not like a 1K that's going to cut really fast. And I really do want to like not lose a lot of metal on my knife. So I'm not trying to be aggressive. If it takes a little while longer with the 3, then that's how long it takes. I can feel it just happening right here, not at the front. So a little bit more in this area. I don't really need to go to the back of the knife if the bevel has already been created. The burr. I mean, I can just feel it. It's one of those things where you don't want to be overly aggressive. You want to know that you have it. But if you'd move forward and you didn't get it, then you didn't sharpen the knife. You should definitely feel good that it's there. I think another thing is, I pushed harder with other knives, but since I've not done this particular steel, you don't know what to expect. Definitely. Okay. So what you're going to see me do. Some people leave it in the same hand and they turn over and they go this way. That is not wrong. I am a big believer in learning to be ambidextrous. So I put it in the other hand and I learned how to do it this way. Okay. So it's starting at the tip. My pressure is so light. I'm not trying to be overly aggressive with a knife that I want to have for a long time with steel I've never worked with. Now, if you're wondering about where my finger placement is, I'm not on the edge because I do not want to risk cutting my fingers. So my fingers are not way up on the top because I don't want to push the flat part of the knife onto the stone and lose my finish. So my fingers are just above it. We are almost there. It is not wrong to pause and move your fingers. You do not have to have some super fluid thing. I know you might see other people do it, but that just takes time. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Nice. Nice. Could use a little more right there. Feels good. Just a little bit more on the tip. Feels really good. I like it just, I want the tip of the knife to be sharp, you know? I think from the heel to the tip, it's got to be nice. Okay. Okay. So let's clean all the extra mud off of this. Okay. We do not need to carry this over. All right. So we're going to sit this down. We want to be careful not to hurt ourselves. All right. We'll move on. So I need to adjust the bridge. So all the natural stones, guys, come in various sizes, and that's something that you'll need to get used to. So we need some water. I want to get these fingers a little bit clean so I didn't bring anything from the other. Okay, I am going to not, all the stones have been flattened. I am not going to create a slurry at first with this. I want to see how the knife responds to it on its own. So if you can see those little black lines that are in there. Now it takes a while to get to where you're literally just moving down the knife. I mean, the tip we got good right off the bat. We definitely have it going. So you can see that some of the stones like kind of dry pretty quick. You can see that the water on here is, you know, the stone's kind of absorbing it a little bit. Again, I'm not polishing this knife. I'm sharpening this knife. You can really start to see that gray, black kind of mud buildup. Now, let's say that I wanted a little bit of like more mud. You could easily take like the Nagara that comes with this is right here. And that created like a little bit of a slurry. So the Nagara for this is another stone from the same mine. It is a natural stone. It is not smooth. It has some kind of grooves on it. It'll help rough up the surface. It can help actually flatten the stone. You can tell the metal is very hard. Again, I've never felt this before. I mean, it feels pretty good. Nice. Okay, we're going to turn it over. You see it start to dry out a little bit? Now, I did not soak a Japanese stone because it is compressed material from the earth. If it sits in water, it can actually unlayer itself and you can get a lot of cracks in your stone and have the stone come apart. So we're just spraying and going. These are beautiful stones. They come in different colors. All the Japanese natural stones have all these different names. First name is going to be for the mine. The next one could be the strata. After that, you're going to be getting into colors. There's also different words for different markings that might be inside the stone. Now, Maruyama is a stone. Maruyama is a mine that this stone comes from. It is still open. They are still excavating and getting these stones out of the earth. I don't know when they'll run out. Just a little bit more on the heel. You see me almost turn the knife a little bit to make sure I'm kind of pushing away where the metal grain is going to go this way. Just a tiny bit more in the spot. Now, I did not prepare myself with the BESS Tester to see what we could get. I will have to pause. I mean, I have it right here next to me. Nice, 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 nice. Nice. Just a little bit more, like right here. So just the heel. I had to kind of move my hand down a little bit and make some room. Again, I'm pushing. Push, ride. Push. Okay. So now we have gone progressively through. Let's get the mud off of here. We don't want to carry it with the next one. Okay. So you might say, like, why are you going to go from the 8-9, like, to the 8-9 and then the 10? You could just go to the 10. I have it. Like, you know, I'm sorry. Let's think of it like this. The very first one, even though it was a 3K, close to 3K, if it's taking and putting grooves in the knife, they're so deep. If you jump up at something that's super fine, it's taking, like, the grooves that are left, it's taking and just chopping off tops of those grooves. So we want to progressively keep sawing down, you know, the grooves. So I have a progression. I'm going to use it. Now this stone is really hard. Now it's funny because you got a super hard stone and a really hard knife. And I say super hard to compare to what we are used to on synthetic. The next one is going to be really hard, and it's still only like a 4, maybe even a 4 or 5 over there. Before they make 5s and 5+s that are really hard. You don't necessarily need that for a knife. I would like to get one. It's in my future. So if you remember, we made a bevel on each side. We make a bevel on this side, we flip it over and make a bevel. Now, my wonder with this particular knife is being that it's not one of the most famous blacksmiths in the world, is their ability to heat treat. Like, you've got the Shirogami, I'm sure it was made by Hitachi. It's laminated, so that I'm not worried about the carbon steel that's in this. But they did have to put it back through heat. You know, so there is work done by the blacksmith to finish some things on a molecular level. And so I can't necessarily say that this particular white paper number 1 Shirogami like actually represents all white number 1. So we've got a little bit of bevel in the middle, not so much at the front, not so much at the heel. Now I did kind of a jump, you might not have saw it, but I went from here to lower because I have a bevel in the middle. I don't know if you see how gray this is becoming. Oh my gosh, so nice. I mean, I'd say it's there a little bit more in the front. Okay. Now I'm a big guy, so I perspire. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just keeping it real. Plus with all the lights. I don't have some big fancy studio. I have my home. I have a couple of LED lights, a couple of cameras. I've got this microphone on me. Simple setup. We're not a big production studio. Hopefully you can see and learn. I'm learning too. This is my first experience with this. So again, rounded movement on the belly at the top. Then a little bit, when the profile gets a little flatter, straight back. Now, I feel like the slurry is getting a little dry. In the description, I will put the long name for each Japanese natural stone. It is a quest to find the ones that are for you. When I do a video on them, you'll know more about shopping. I got very lucky. All of my stones were purchased from individual people, not knife stores. I do believe in purchasing them from knife stores. There are definitely some knife stores individual that I trust them. I just happened to meet the right people, and they were very experienced people, and they did me right. I feel very good. A little bit here and a little bit more at the front. Feels good right here. We're just working in that one spot. Feel like I'm a scratch DJ. Okay, that is awesome. So we're going to get rid of some of this. Guys, for the purpose of the video, I'm just moving on. I will go back with these stones. I will not let any type of mud settle on these. They will get re-wet. They will get cleaned. They will be put away after they have dried. All right. So my next stone is significantly shorter. Again, when you're getting into natural stones, you don't have like a fixed, finite size that you get from the factory. With synthetics, you do get the repeated, like every time you buy the stone, fixed dimensions. Okay. So depending on the bridge you have, they really make those, and I don't have one. I'm going to invest, but they make that Nanawa and several other brands that are less expensive stone holder that's bars with screws and rubber. And I think that's a little bit better to kind of hold these. So let's make sure this knife is clean. Nothing from the last stone. Nice. Super excited. You can see some black lines in there already. We're kind of removing the burr with the stone. I mean, we are moving the burr back and forth again. Don't forget your curved wrist at the beginning. Don't forget to use the entire stone. It's funny because you have two very hard things being pressed against each other. You have really hard stone, really hard metal. You can tell there's a sense of sliding. We're already getting a little bit of a bevel. And for some reason, I don't know why it is, like the bevel on a natural stone tends to be very small, very micro. I like it because I want these knives to last 20 years. I don't want to aggressively keep removing metal from a knife. Now, I can tell as I've done this that I could have been a little bit more aggressive on my pressure. I mean, don't fault me, guys, that this video is a little longer because I simply didn't know. You're watching me tackle this really for the first time, not kidding you, in front of you. Okay, in just a minute, we're gonna switch some stuff up. Right now we're doing edge trailing where the knife is going that way and then riding itself back. Push. But in a second, those are edge trailing strokes. In a second, we're getting ready to do edge leading strokes. Bevel everywhere. A little bit more on the back end. I'm excited to get this under my belt. I'm excited to see, what happened. Now listen, I could have done this much faster if I'd used really aggressive stones. This is my knife. I mean, I don't care if it was your knife or my knife. I want your knife to last you a long time. I'm not going to be cavalier with your knife. Don't be cavalier with other people's knives. Respect it. I'm adding experience to my life. You're getting part of it with me. Wow. Okay, feels good. Other side. And that is why you don't have your finger right on the edge, because I almost sharpened myself. I almost cut myself. We're getting ready to do edge leading strokes. It's a very good possibility that you could cut your stone. Okay. So a little bit more at the front. However long it takes, guys. Guys and girls. There's women out there doing this. Glad to hear it. Very deliberate. Push, 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 push. You can tell it's removing metal because it went from yellow to gray. Okay, so now with this stone in place, before we move to any type of leather, we're gonna do stropping on the stone. So I'm gonna do it several different ways. I'm gonna do edge leading. So I'm gonna put the knife down. I'm gonna lift up the angle to the sharpening angle. I'm gonna push the knife with pressure evenly across the stone. I'm gonna put it down the other side, bring up the knife for its angle. Now you're used to seeing this with people doing a razor blade. Razor blades are literally put like flat and they go in very lightweight in the slurry. So your fingers can go all the way across. Make sure you get the heel in. Don't cut your stone with the heel. Now, what's going to be happening is when I'm done with this stone, it is not necessary to go to leather. Leather can increase the edge like 10 to 15%. You don't necessarily have to have the smoothest of edge. But the purpose of the leather is to remove the burr. So we're hopefully getting the burr off on the stone. You can literally take the knife and go right across the stone and almost horizontal, parallel, and see if there's any black that comes off, which is it didn't. So either it's not removing the burr, it already did. Now with the passes, I'm kind of lightening up. So with the 50-50 bevel, my goal is to make sure that I don't accidentally roll part of it over. So I'm very lightly kind of pushing each direction. Okay, so now let's just do something to see if the burr is gone. I'm going to take the knife with just the sheer weight of the knife, like this. I'm gonna lay it on the edge, and I'm just gonna drag it across this wood. If there was any metal on the edge, it would just come right off. I think I might have saw some. So now, if we broke off a piece of metal, like if you've ever broken off the end of a hanger, it's not a clean break. It has like a jagged edge. So if we broke metal off the edge that was hanging, we now have a toothy edge, which again could be something you're really looking for. I want to get this really smooth. Again, this would be for filleting fish. I have a video coming up, which is going to be a deba, which is a traditional fish filleting knife to remove the fillet from the bone. We're gonna have the Funayuki as another way to do that with something that's normally used on the boat. And then I have an Ajikiri, which you could do like a Funayuki. It's just a much smaller, it's almost like a Kobe deba, Kobe food Funayuki. And so I have an Ajikiri, which is like a wide petty knife. And I'm gonna do a very small fish with it, just to show that you have that versatility. You can see there's a nice thick mud. I enjoy that. It's almost like I don't want to stop doing it because I enjoy that there's finally some thick mud on here. Light pressure. Okay. Now, if you're used to stropping, if you're on this video and you've done stropping, normally stropping is going to be done in this direction. Okay, so normally you put the knife on here and travel up. You can go heel to toe. You can go toe to heel. Even back here, you can go heel to toe. It's a little harder to make sure you maintain the edge. It's a little easier on that side. So you want the stropping angle, depending on the steel and the leather, or in this case the stone, you want it to be basically the same angle. There are certain steels that you would use a slightly different angle, like increased by 2% of the angle. So like if you were like sharpening at 15 degrees, you can strop at 15 degrees, but you could strop at like 17 degrees. Again, the goal is to remove the wire edge. So let's say that the wire edge is gone. Now, what you're really doing is making sure that the edge of the knife is lined up. Okay, if you can see this, it's got a really nice finish on the edge. I didn't want to get too high and start working on the finish here. Okay, so part of me is just having fun. Here's my thing, guys. I've never sharpened this steel before. I'm anxious. Did I do it right? Is my best score going to be disappointing? I mean, I'm sure the knife is crazy sharp. So if this stone is 10 to 12,000, we're going to go to leather. I have a 0.5 micron diamond paste that's sitting on some leather. That's what we're going to next. So we need the knife completely dry. Okay. All right, so let's go to the leather. Now I am going to sit this strop right on top of here. It's pretty dirty, so I'm going to put this down, but for the sake of the video, this is what we're doing. So let's lightly I will put the name of the diamond paste that I'm using. I will tell you it comes in a syringe. It is a little bit oilier. It does move easier than some of the other that I've seen. I'm excited that I have some Jnat diamond emulsion spray, and I have one coming in from Scott Gunn. It should be here in 4 days. His ratio of carats of diamond to the emulsion is much higher. So instead of polishing, it's actually kind of sharpening. So we'll be testing it out against 2 other brands. So I'm just trying to make sure that the entire knife's edge makes contact. I will tell you that as I'm rounding the knife, it seems like the heel can get up a little bit, so I'm having to make sure it makes contact. And you say, like, isn't that enough? I mean, sure it is, but what's it hurting me? You know, again, diamond particles, very small, are just rubbing away the scratches that are on the side of the knife. Let's do not hurt ourselves. I'm sure the cut would be really bad at this point. Okay. Kind of stropping on the cloth there. The moment of truth. So I personally think I could have definitely spent a little bit more time on the leather. I also think the knife could be a little cleaner. Really nice finish. Hey guys, we're back. We've got the BESS Tester out. This is a BESS certified machine. I want to just stress to you guys that this machine is a tool. It is not the standard. We're basically going to put the knife on there, and the knife, you know, I've never sharpened this steel before. It's supposed to be able to take the best edge. Definitely think there's some things I could have done better. So we're going to get a score. Now, when it gets a score, it's literally getting a score from like one place on the blade. It is not getting a score. So whether I'm even all the way down the blade, you know, it might be really amazing one part, not the other. So please understand it's a tool. We'll learn from ourselves, see what we got, and go from there. Okay, so we have a score of, well, I missed it. We have a score of 63. You saw it in this camera. So we are just a little bit better than a Gillette razor blade with this knife on my first try. Definitely think that, you know, some more things I could have done. Not that it needs to be better. So let's not go chasing numbers. We have a knife, it has a function. I'm getting ready to do another video, and I'm gonna compare this knife to a Deba and to a Ajikiri. I'm very excited to be able to do that for you. So we have an extremely sharp knife. Wow. So really nice. I hope you learned something from me. I learned something doing this. Not gonna ramble on. I'm gonna put in the description a link to everything we use, from the BESS Tester to the different natural stones. I'll even put the synthetic equivalent in the description and links to how to get them. Also, I will put in there the Stropping compound, the diamond emulsion, in the description below, so that you too can achieve these results. Thank you for joining us. If you found value in this video, please hit the subscribe button. Like this video, tell YouTube that you liked it. And what I'm gonna ask you to do is leave some comments, ask me questions. I have time to answer them. And I love hearing from you guys. We're still learning. So definitely give us some feedback. And let me know if you personally have, I have a lot of blue number 2. If you have, you know, a different carbon steel or a different steel, please write in the comments below your favorite steel. Let me know what you're doing with that. I'm getting ready also to do another video, which is going to be me sharpening R2/SG2 steel for the very first time. So I'm super excited about that. We'll see together what happens. So I'm wishing you never a dull moment. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.